Alrighty, folks, we gotta have a little chat here. I'm gonna vent about a lot of stuff in this video, and usually when I'm feeling one of these type of videos, I know this is usually something that a lot of people are also feeling in the market, and I think, me with my platform, people are just waiting for somebody to say it, okay? And I got a bunch of things. I thought about doing these as separate videos. I'm like, let's just freaking throw it all in one video. I'm just gonna talk about all this, how it's all a bunch of crap, and then we'll kind of move on from this. Hope you guys enjoy it as always, okay? First off, I definitely see this notion, right? This notion that Tesla, and I did a video on Tesla recently, and I don't make nearly as many Tesla videos nowadays as I used to make, okay? Let's just put it that way. Not even remotely close. Like, you used to make like a Tesla video every day. But I definitely see this kind of belief from some folks, and it usually comes from the folks that are haters or never been on this train to begin with, that Tesla is just a hype-driven stock, and there's no real fundamentals in things like that there. And it's like, the only reason Tesla goes up is because of the hype, right? And certainly, hype definitely helps. We can't deny that. But if you think the only reason Tesla goes up is because, Elon Musk announced something or something exciting like that, dream on, okay? Here's the deal with Tesla. This is a company that last year did over $50 billion of revenue. And they're expected to grow at a 50% plus revenue growth rate, okay? I keep track of almost every company in the public markets. And I cannot, off the top of my head, think of another company that did over $50 billion last year that is going to grow their revenues over 50%. Not one, and not even anybody that's remotely close. That's on a whole different level, okay? The fact is, Tesla's fundamental story is more than amazing. So if you think Tesla, the only reason its stock price goes up, or the only reason people get excited about the stock is just because of some hype thing or something like that, no. Look a little deeper, look at the fundamentals, and look at how likely the EPS is going to increase at much more of a rapid clip than the revenue growth. That's very, very key for Tesla at its time period in its public company's history. So no, this is not just a hype story. There's a lot of fundamentals there, and if you start to look a little deeper, you realize, oh my gosh, this is insane. Like, literally, that's insane. Like, a company that did over $50 billion to grow organically, it's not like they acquired some company. They're going to grow organically at a 50% plus clip is ridiculous, all right? So that covers Tesla. Next thing I want to talk about here is, obviously, these two are kind of the poster childs of this notion of I'm going to try to time the market, right? Kevin, a couple months ago, was doing all these Titanic videos and how, you would have literally thought watching his videos, like, United States of America was done. Like, we're done. The stock market's done and it's going to crash, down 90%. Like literally that's the type of content he was putting out. Obviously, Chicken recently, did a video where he was selling out of almost everything other than, a big Tesla position and I think a few Palantir shares essentially, right? But the fact is, I think those are just kind of like the big YouTubers that have done this, right? But this notion bothers me so much of like trying to get in and out of the market, and I'm going to sell, all my other stocks, but I'll just hold one stock for now. And this, like, it frustrates me so much in this time period that we're going through, right? The fact is, if you pull up, this goes all the way back to 1935, okay? And you go through all these different time periods, all throughout time. And what you're going to find is these bear market scenarios last for a very small amount of time. They're a blip on the radar. And even in these massive scenarios, whether you're talking about a great financial crisis where we almost lose the entire financial system, right? Whether you're talking about the most overvalued tech stocks that ever gotten in companies that didn't even have any business models or trading at billions of dollars of valuation, whether you're talking about other recessionary scenarios or time periods where there was high inflation or low inflation, or the Fed was doing this, right? Or think about wars, like significant wars and all that stuff, right? And at the end of the day, the market's in bull market 91% of the time. And so to try to time out these sorts of time periods is just, it's a fool's game. Like all that shows me at the end of the day is that you have no clue what you're freaking doing. Like, bottom line, okay? And you can say, look, I got out today and I got out tomorrow. Dude, anybody can do that. That's like me going down the roulette wheel and throwing my money on red. Oh, I hit it. Oh, I'm so smart. Oh, yeah, dude, you had less than a 50% chance of that happening, and it happened. Okay, great for you. Okay, awesome. Do you think that makes you intelligent? That doesn't make you smart. That doesn't mean you're some super genius like you want to make yourself out to be in your head. That's not the way this works. You're clueless, like literally clueless. You do that type of crap. There can be certain time periods in the market where you buy a little more heavy or you buy a little less heavy. Oh, there's like a lot of great deals. I got to invest heavily right now, or there's not so many good deals. But to sell out of your entire portfolio, like the high majority, 99% of your stocks, 98% of your stocks, is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And the problem is when people see other folks do this, they think they can do that as well. And, I'm going to time it out because remember they timed out and I'm smarter than them and I should be able to time it out well. And it's literally like insanity, like literally insanity. And it frustrates me so much. And, when folks do that, there's nothing you can tell them in that time period. They think they're the GOAT. They think they're so smart. And I got it better than everybody else. And I know everybody else said never time the market, but look at me, I timed the market, right? And it's just like, just like it just shows me how clueless they really are and how little they actually know about this whole game. And it's sad, but you can't tell them any different. And as somebody that grew up around, obviously a lot of gamblers, I saw this time and time again where, you tell them like that's dumb. And then they make some bet and it would hit and they like, oh, I'm so smart. It's like, dude, that's not the way this works. But unfortunately, that's what we've gotten wrapped up into recently here. And now a lot of other folks are going to think they can do that as well. And all this is going to end up to a lot less gains over time. By trying to time this out, I'm going to get out of the market. And I'm going to get back in the market. And it's like, dude, you're literally just wasting your time. You're literally just going to end up costing yourself a ton of money over the years. A ton of money. And you're going to keep going down this rabbit hole of thinking you can time the market and get in and get out. And it's ridiculous. But, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And it makes me sad that we're kind of in that time period. But that's what's going on. But remember this slide for the rest of your life, okay? As long as you care about money, remember this little graph here, okay? And other ones like that. It's very, very important, all right? Next thing that I need to get off my chest is, in this sort of market, we have a lot of stocks have been hammered. We know that, okay? A lot of stocks from their let's call it their 2021 highs, countless stocks are down between 50 and 90%. I mean, countless of them, and it's specifically almost every single retail play, or the high majority of them is down 50 to 90% from where their highs were in 2021, okay? And so what you have happen essentially is all those stocks, regardless of their business model, some people like to group all those as they're all garbage stocks. They're all crap stocks. Because they went public in the last year or two and because their stock price fell significantly, they get grouped into it's a garbage stock, okay? It shouldn't even be compared to this company and that company. When all along, a lot of them, all the most respected companies you respect today were all called, guess what? Garbage stocks at one time. When Google went public, people thought that was a joke. Okay, when Facebook went public, that stock fell 50% plus in a matter of like 4 months after the IPO. Apple was almost bankrupt and was called a garbage stock at one time. Amazon during the tech bubble, that fell over 90%. Okay, Tesla was called a garbage stock for the longest time, and heck, by short sellers, it's still called a garbage stock. Okay, every company that you would put on a pedestal today was looked at a time period where it was called a garbage stock. And to go ahead and start grouping every single retail stock into this like garbage category because maybe it didn't hit its growth rates or didn't impress enough, or maybe they lose money in the short term or something like that, and to call it a garbage stock and write it off and like, oh, that's just crap, it's just ridiculous, okay? And so, I think a company like Palantir is kind of the poster child of that. Palantir is not a stock I am personally invested in, but it's absolutely a company that has likely a tremendous future in front of it. And if you look at the revenue growth rates this company should hit over time, should be tremendous. But Palantir, by certain folks out there, will be just cast off as a quote unquote garbage stock. And it's like, that's just ridiculous. Because its stock price goes down in the short term, or because a company misses some short term numbers or something like that, to then go try and say it's a garbage stock is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's just another sign that some folks just literally don't know anything about stocks and they're like, oh, it's all crap. It's not how this works. Or a lot of those stocks that got caught into the retail hype and in the very end of 2020 and into the early part of 2021, or a good amount of those, companies that probably will never see prices like that again in their stock prices. Yeah. But you got to understand there's a lot of those companies that got caught up in that hype cycle, that stock price have fallen 50, 60, 70, 80%. A lot of those companies will climb back to those prices and significantly above that. It's the ones that have their true business model and their revenue growth, that they're going to grow 20%, 30% type of year, right? For years and years to go in the future. And these companies that maybe aren't making much money on the bottom line or are losing money right now, they'll find a way to flip that baby over time. They will find a way to flip that, okay? And so, that's just something that frustrates me so much. Tesla, so, now $1 trillion market cap. gosh, man, you could have called that, you could have wrote that company off so many times. And including when I was buying the stock in 2018, 2019, it went through time periods where not only did Tesla miss numbers, but they missed massively. I remember one time, this was in early 2019, the company on a sequential quarter over quarter, they were off billions of dollars, multi-billions of dollars on a sequential basis of what they had done the previous quarter. And people thought Tesla was done at that moment, like done. There's some people who were like, this company's done, they're going bankrupt. They can't scale, they got no demand, blah, 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 okay? And the problem is so many people get caught up into that short-term crap. Let's just call it what it is, crap, and focusing on the short-term numbers, and they didn't hit this metric, and they weren't profitable, and they forget about the long-term story, they forget about the long-term trends, and they don't consider buying the stock, or they, even worse, sell out at a really bad pricing, and all to watch that stock do what over the coming years? As long as the business model is going where it's supposed to go over time, you're going to make stupid money in that stock. But the problem is, either people get the business model wrong, right? Or they get way too caught up in those short-term numbers. They get way too caught up in they missed some number, or they missed some metric, their gross margins aren't here, they lost a bunch of money. There was a quarter in 2019 where I think Tesla lost like $700 million. $700 million on its bottom line. But for me, I looked at that company, I'm like, this is a trend setter in a massive industry that's going to continue to grow. This is a company that they have levers to pull all over the place for not just growth over time, but for profit growth, margin growth over time. They're going to get there, baby. You got to give them some time. And they got there. And the rewards was intense. And meanwhile, other folks just decided to cast off the company. Other folks decided to short sell this company. And other folks decided to, sell it or not even take it serious. And it's unfortunate at the end of the day because, it's like if you just spent a little bit of time, there was a lot of money to be made there, okay? Next thing I want to talk about is the group of stocks that have been great stocks, but are now going through a tough time. And so there's a few of those that come to mind. Shopify is one of those stocks for me, okay? And Shopify, not a stock I have any money invested in, just like Palantir. But this is a company I look at and I'm like, man, if you think Shopify is not going to grow massively over the next decade, you are sorely mistaken. This company is an innovation company that will grow over the next decade massively. Their stock price is in a bad place right now, from $1,700 plus to $700. And can Shopify go through a 1 year or 2 year time frame where the stock price doesn't really do much and it just kind of flounders between $500 and $1,000? That's completely possible. But that does not mean Shopify is now a garbage stock. It does not mean Shopify's future is done. That's not the way this works at the end of the day. These even the best of the best companies, I don't care who you're talking about, Amazon, Apple, Google, Tesla, Netflix, they can go through several years sometimes where the stock prices chill out. So for a stock like Shopify, if this stock chills for a year or two, doesn't mean Shopify is done, doesn't mean it's a bad company. It means it's in a chill out period and they'll get back to their growth rates and those sorts of things and their stock price will appreciate over time. But to go ahead and say, well, it's down a bunch, so it's a bad stock, that's not the way this works. But it's frustrating for me to see it because I see it time and time again. And, we'll see what the future holds for Shopify. It's going to likely be a bright future. But in the short term, the stock price can shake around $500 to $1,000 a share. That can happen. And so don't cast it off as it's garbage now because its stock price is off significantly from where it was months ago. It's not the way this works, okay? Next thing is, and especially this has happened recently because a lot of stocks fell, right? We went, as of a week ago roughly, we were in NASDAQ bear market where the NASDAQ was down 22% from its 2021 highs. We were at a place where the Russell was in bear market as well. And when you have a ton of stocks get killed for months and months and months and months after month after month, stocks are just getting devastated. You see stocks all everywhere, down significantly, but you have a few holding up, the big dogs like a Microsoft and Apple, Google stocks like that, right? Next thing you know, all of a sudden, every other stock in the market, other than those, it becomes like trash stocks. And it's like, once again, you don't just have to hold Apple and Microsoft and Google to make money, okay? And usually when people are trying to look at those as a safety stocks, it's actually usually the time that you want to look for other places to put your money because usually there's far better opportunities in the market. But everybody always lags in these things. And when you're going through a hype cycle, no one wants to hold the big companies that, are seen as safety plays. Everybody wants the more risky plays. But after you've been through a time period where everybody's been sliced and diced in the market, next thing you know, all of a sudden everybody's like, you got to to buy Apple stock. If it isn't producing crazy cash flows, I don't want it. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay, well, whatever. You're going to want it the next time the market starts to trend the other way, believe me. Because as soon as people can pretend all these sorts of things like, I only want it if it's, and it's like, as soon as the market starts to turn, what's everybody want again? Growth stocks. That's what people want. People want that 50% growth company, that 30% growth company. You go through these time periods in the short term when the market gets rough, where all of a sudden people flock to safety, and it's like all of a sudden Coca-Cola and Pepsi are the hot stocks, right? Dude, that doesn't last for too long. I can tell you that much, okay? And then all of a sudden no one's going to care about those again, and everybody's going to be in all the hot stocks again, right? And so it's very important. It's just frustrating for me to see that. And, so usually when no one's talking about these stocks, it's usually when you want to flock to safety, if anything. And usually if everybody's, no one wants growth stocks and like, oh, you got to be in the big cash flow companies, dude. It's usually the time where you need to look elsewhere for your investments, okay? Next thing up here, oil. There's this notion now, all of a sudden, no one cared about oil. And all of a sudden, because oil spiked up huge, now all of a sudden, oil is like the big subject, right? The oil does not dictate the stock market. Oil matters, okay? But to think this is the end-all, be-all in the stock market, and the stock market is going to go down if oil goes up or something like that, is once again sorely mistaken. Actually, there's several time periods you can look at throughout history where oil went up and simultaneously the stock market went up as well. And oil went down and the stock market went through a tough time as well. So just because oil is going up does not mean the stock market's doomed or all companies are going to be trash or something like that. Oil in 1980 was $37 a barrel. We've increased our price 180% over the past, 40 plus years? That's like nothing, okay? Oil over the long term should likely increase, should increase, okay? But at the end of the day, let's not forget this commodity, and let's not forget that, the Saudis can drill oil and make money on a barrel of oil for pennies on the dollar. And so, if they get into any sort of market share battle with some of the United States producers over time, believe me, next thing you know, everybody's going to be producing like crazy, and next thing you know, price will be dropping. Doesn't mean price are dropping anytime soon, but believe me, these market share battles go on, and the Saudis can when you look in the stats around this and the facts and the data, the Saudis can produce a barrel of oil for pennies on the dollar, essentially. And so, believe me, if all of a sudden they get some competition, next thing you know, they're going to be producing like crazy, and there's a lot of money to be made there right now. And next thing you know, all of a sudden oil will be dropping. So you could go through, the summer where oil's at a very elevated level, and next thing you know, all of a sudden prices start dropping. That's next thing. Next thing up here, the Fed. There's this thought process of like everybody paying attention to the Fed, and what's the Fed going to say? And like, oh my gosh, Jay Powell just said what? Holy smokers, okay, this ain't no dang jokers. Everybody freaking out over the Fed, all right? Let me tell you, as somebody who's been in the market for 14 years, the Fed is nothing but an excuse. Nothing but an excuse. And I've seen this time and time again. If the market wants to go down, it will pin it on something, okay? If Wall Street wants a reason to sell stocks, they will find a reason. And the Fed is the perfect reason sometimes because they can't find a better reason. So they it's the Fed. We're afraid they might be too aggressive or less not aggressive enough. And it's a perfect kind of scapegoat for if big money wants to sell off of stocks, they point it to the Fed. And they're like, and it was Yellen, and it was Bernanke, and it's Jay Powell, and it's all these people that have been, Fed chair since I've been in the stock market, and they will find whatever reason, and that will be the flavor of the day. And all of a sudden, you won't hear about the Fed for 6 months, 12 months, 14 months, 18 months. And it's like, wait, I thought the Fed was the center of the universe, and all of a sudden, no one cares about the Fed now. And then all of a sudden, guys, how are we going to drop the market now? Fed. Oh, and the next thing you know, CNBC's covering and everybody's paying attention to the Fed. What's the Fed going to do next? And it's like, dude, all the Fed is a scapegoat in this situation if big money wants to sell off stocks. Pointing on the Fed, it's the Fed, they're doing this, and next thing you know, stocks drop. And isn't it funny that all of a sudden now it's like, the Fed's all of a sudden becoming not the center of attention all of a sudden? It's like, whoa, now all of a sudden stocks are going up, and all of a sudden, wait, did everybody forget we were going to raise rates a lot? And it's like, oh no, that was priced in already. It's just the same thing. And just remember that all these time periods in the future, because believe me, the Fed's going to be the center of attention again, and whether 6 months from now, or 12 months from now, or 18 months from now, and then it'll be another one after that, and another one after that, and it's never going to go away. It will always be there. It's just a question of like, when do they want to point it at the Fed? And it's anybody's best guess. It's whenever they want to drop stocks. That's the bottom line when it comes to that, guys. So Woo! Hope you enjoyed this video. Just getting a lot of stuff on my chest, and I think there's probably a lot of people that are looking for somebody to do a video like that. I hope you guys enjoyed as always. Make sure you get some free stocks from Moomoo right now. Deposit any amount of money, get 3 free stocks. It's pretty insane. Check out pinned comment down there. Much love, and have a great day.